The year 1971. Vietnam War is ongoing, as is the Civil Rights Movement. I was just 6 years old. I lived at 407 Lyle Drive in Clarksville, Tennessee, in a predominantly African American community called Birchwood Estates. Surrounded by 6 women, mother and 5 sisters, I had no brothers, but my father was present, a figure whose importance I deeply appreciated. One memory stands out vividly from that time. My neighbor across the street, just 2 years older than me at 8 years old, had lost his father in the Vietnam War. The only family on our street to endure such a heartbreaking loss. He had no siblings to share his grief, and he had no but very few memories of his father. The parents in the neighborhood frequently took turns with the kids as the fathers came and went due to service. On one particular night, he was spending the night at our house. We were in my room playing with my Hot Wheels track, having fun as little boys do, when I noticed he looked very down, and I saw tears. He recounted to me at that instance how he missed his father. It was in that moment, at 6 years old, I instinctively became his little brother, offering my ear, my presence, and my compassion to help him cope with a very difficult time. Fast forward to 2002. I was a CW3 and an age 64 Apache standardization officer stationed in Illesheim, Germany. The attack of 9/11 was still fresh on everyone's mind, and the urgency to be prepared for war was on everyone's mind and heart. A junior female officer's flight records came across my desk. Her commander had labeled her a concern and charged me to train her. This was her final chance before she was to face a flight evaluation board and risk losing her aviation flight wings. She was not the typical Army model. She was a little heavier. She was much more shapelier, which the aviation flight suits that we wore at that time did no justice, and her confidence was deeply shaken. But I saw one thing. I saw potential. I saw willingness to learn in her. Drawing up on the compassion and empathy instilled in me from my earlier memory, I chose to listen, support, and empower her to succeed. Her initial training journey concluded when she successfully progressed to Readiness Level 1. This simple feat restored her confidence, and she later flew combat operations for our nation. During my junior year of college, my days began at 5 a.m. with the feeding of my son, 6 a.m. physical training with ROTC, class, and then ended at 10 p.m. when I got off work. Balancing 22 hours over 30 weekly work hours and fatherhood, my midterms hit hard. Coupled this with battling pneumonia, and I was pushed further down. Ultimately, the semester ended with a letter from the school saying I had landed on academic probation. Whew. Choosing curiosity over shame as failure was not an option. I asked myself critical questions. What's essential? Who could support me? How could I manage my time more effectively? Dropping 6 credits, I studied during naps, worked less hours, and found understanding professors. 1 year later, I completely turned my GPA around. My son, now a toddler, was present to witness both my graduation and my commissioning into the United States Army. I vividly remember those afternoons, laying out in our front yard, eyes fixed on the endless blue sky above as helicopters from Fort Campbell and small planes from Outlaw Field etched their paths across the sky. One afternoon stands out clearly. I was watching an AH-1 Cobra helicopter overhead, its powerful blades resonating with something deep within me. In that single moment, a dream took root. I whispered determinedly to myself, I'm going to be a pilot. From that day forward, my fascination was relentless. Whether it was birds, planes, helicopters, paper planes, little helicopter rubber bands that we used to fly, I absorbed everything about flight. My passion grew during a Cub Scout field trip to Fort Campbell's Aviation Museum. I was sitting proudly in the cockpit of a Cobra helicopter, and a snapshot capturing my dream appeared in our local paper, making the tangible start of my journey. That museum trip was the beginning of it all. I just could not think of doing anything else, and I told myself, I'm going to be an attack helicopter pilot. Yet no one shared my vision. As word spread about my ambitions, I was met with all kinds of doubt and discourse. You'll never achieve that. Have you ever seen a black pilot? Do you know any pilots? You can't possibly do something like that. Amid this storm of skepticism came my mother's steady, unwavering voice, offering me sage wisdom that would anchor me throughout my life. She pulled me over close to her. She sat me down. She said, son, you are your only limit. God didn't place any limits on you, so don't you let man put any limits on you. Her words echoed deeply. They became my personal mantra. I embraced them wholeheartedly, pushing past every obstacle placed in my way, and there were many. With fierce determination, I pursued and earned a degree in aviation. I followed it up by launching a career in the military that was built and focused around aviation, from helicopters to airplanes. This soared for nearly 4 decades. Her words were more than advice. They were a pattern interrupter, shifting my trajectory beyond limits. If I were to go back in time in a time machine or DeLorean, one of the first things I would tell my 21-year-old self is lead yourself first. Understanding that success begins with mastering self-leadership, and the first step to doing so is learning how to follow. Before you can effectively lead others, you must develop clarity about who you are, your values, and your vision. You begin learning this through the act of following. Lessons gained through both good and bad leaders are invaluable in shaping the leader that you are destined to become. The second thing that I would say, embrace the pack mindset. Remember, greatness rarely happens in isolation. Surround yourself with those who challenge you, those who support you and complement your strengths. Adopt a collaborative mindset, recognizing that the combined efforts of a focused team are exponentially greater than anything you can do as an individual. As Rudyard Kipling would state, the strength of the pack is the wolf. The strength of the wolf is the pack. Lastly, I would tell you to adapt, overcome, and grow. Life will inevitably present you with obstacles and setbacks. How you respond defines your journey. Embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. Flexibility and adaptability are your competitive advantages. Cultivate them relentlessly. I say that again. Cultivate them relentlessly, viewing each struggle as fuel for your resilience. These principles will serve as a compass throughout your journey, guiding you towards meaningful, sustainable success. Imagine this. It's 3 years from today. You're walking into your organization and there's an unmistakable energy. There's a force that is just unshakable. You couldn't miss it if you wanted to. The once fragmented teams now speak a common language. Meetings aren't dominated by one voice, yours, but instead hum with insights from diverse perspectives. You pause to watch an interaction. Your protege actively listens, intentionally pausing before responding, fostering dialogue and not just discussion. 3 years ago, you realized something pivotal. Active listening isn't and was not and will never be just a skill. It is the lifeblood of innovation, team cohesion, and sustained growth. You shifted from being the smartest person in the room, choosing instead to be the wisest listener. You remember the subtle yet powerful changes when you started asking more questions than you answered. You ever been in a room where people are listening to respond instead of listening to hear? Your ability in inviting others to rise and share their ideas freely was paramount to the success of your business. This evolution sparked something deeper, a cultural transformation. Teams became empowered, engaged, and collaborative. Leaders emerged from unexpected corners because you intentionally stepped back, understanding the true strength of leadership lies in nurturing others to grow beyond your own abilities. Your succession planning evolved naturally from this shift. Instead of scrambling as retirement approached, you methodically cultivated multiple successors, each capable, confident, and ready. Today, you watch as they lead with clarity and confidence, mirroring the values and practices you seeded years ago. Your legacy isn't measured by projects completed or profits alone. It's reflected in the people, the purpose, and the perseverance you've developed. Standing there, you feel a profound peace and pride. Your intentional shift, embracing active listening, setting ego aside, and systematically preparing successors has created something larger than yourself. You've built a lasting legacy of transformative leadership that will endure and inspire generations to come. The number one reason people choose to hire our organization and work with us is our rare ability to fundamentally transform how leaders think. We do not simply teach strategies or provide generic advice. We aim to guide leaders through intentional mind shifts that empower them to anticipate challenges, harness emotional intelligence, and leverage the strength of their teams. With the support of my wife, Dr. Katrina Hall Smith, I founded the Wolfpack Leadership Initiative. We exist to equip leaders to thrive in complex environments, unlocking a competitive edge which outlasts any short-term solution. We're here to drive those partners with us beyond merely surviving leadership challenges. We want you to strive to help them master these leadership challenges, driven by a deeper understanding of their role, their people, and themselves. An example of how we did that was while we were stationed in Germany. We had a young leader who was more of an authoritarian type leader, and he came into the organization brand new, trying to drive nails into everyone he saw. This quickly turned the organization against him. Seeing what was going on and watching the expressions and the attitudes of the organization, I took this young leader off to the side and we went home. I said, I want you to go home and have lunch with me. We went home and then we sat and talked. I said, in the way that you're treating people, what do you think they see? What were you taught? Coming to understand where he came from, his upbringing, his background, helped us to craft a leadership strategy for him, which ultimately turned him into the #1 leader in the organization. These are the things we like to do. We like to help you transform, because your leadership is never about you, it's about your people. This experience with Dr. Shea Brown and his organization has been nothing short of fabulous. Working with him, the laid-back demeanor, and how he guides and coaches you through the program, it just made it so much simpler. Speaking for myself, and I'm going to include my wife in this, neither one of us particularly care for being in front of the camera, but being in front of the camera with Shay was a different experience altogether. He made it enjoyable, he kept the atmosphere light, and we were able to accomplish what we needed to do in a minimal amount of time. I love it, I appreciate you, and can't wait to collaborate with you again, sir.